Wouldn't it be a problem if I divorce you? You already know the outcome, right? I ended up in this situation because I married you, didn't I? Why do you think I would be troubled if we got divorced? If anyone should be troubled, it's you. Open your eyes to reality. It's been 1 year since I got married to my husband. We both work as full-time employees and live in my husband's company-provided housing. My mother-in-law lives about a 30-minute drive away. She doesn't interfere in our lives. However, she willingly provides us with advice and wisdom for daily living, maintaining a good distance with us. Thanks to that, I think my husband and I were doing reasonably well. Then, one day, I started feeling sick at work. Before I could have lunch, I was hit by an intense feeling of nausea and ended up vomiting continuously in the company restroom. I thought it was serious. At that time, I thought that if I just lied down and relaxed for a while, my condition would eventually improve, so I didn't take it too seriously. For the time being, I decided to go back to the office and inform my boss that I wanted to leave early. I was confident that I looked very pale, so I didn't think my request would be denied. Therefore, while holding on to the toilet, I sent a message to my husband saying, "I can't stop vomiting. I'm not in a condition to cook dinner, so either eat out or get takeout." Well, I guess it's okay for now. My husband is not capable of doing household chores properly, but if I inform him in advance, he should be able to handle it somehow. Finally, the vomiting stopped, and as I rinsed my mouth with water I bought from a vending machine, I received a reply to my message from my husband. I thought it would be a message saying "understood," but it was completely different. My husband replied, "I'll be working overtime, so it's impossible. You don't have to cook, but make sure to buy something by yourself." From my husband's company to our company-provided housing, there are convenience stores and 24-hour beef bowl restaurants. I don't want to stop at any of them and just want to go straight home. I was annoyed by his selfish excuse. Since I never send such emails normally, he could have shown a bit more concern. I replied, "I'm telling you it's impossible. I'm really in pain. If I could, I wouldn't send such an email. Please, just let me rest," but there was no response to this. I don't know if he's really busy or if he's just become tired of dealing with me, but I understood that he has no intention of concerning my health. I never expected such a cold reaction. I thought we were able to get along well and respect each other. I have been supporting my husband, but it seems that he was simply not interested in me and did not actually respect me. Thanks to my anger towards my husband, the nausea subsided a bit temporarily, so I went back to the office and requested my boss to let me leave early. As I had expected, my boss was very concerned about my appearance and immediately approved my early leave. On the way home, the feeling of nausea got strong again, and I felt a slight feverish sensation in my body, but I stopped by a bento shop near our company-provided housing and ordered a bento for my husband. I requested it to be ready around 6 p.m. and somehow managed to crawl my way back home, where I became a resident of the restroom for a while. I had no energy to go to the bedroom and just collapsed in the restroom. After managing to get up somehow, as I tried to head towards the bedroom, I noticed that the clock's hands were already pointing to 7:30 p.m. It had been over an hour and a half since the time I had reserved the bento. To prepare for the possibility of being hit by nausea again, I took a vomit bag in one hand and headed towards the bento shop. The shop attendant gave me a slightly unpleasant look, but I had no energy to care, so I silently accepted the bento and slowly made my way back to the company-provided housing. I encounter my husband on the way home. Not alone, but along with colleagues, who also live in the same company-provided housing. If he could come home at this time, he could have bought and eaten something. If I were feeling well, I would have shouted at him, but I have no energy or time for that. One of his colleagues says, dinner tonight is a mess," in a mocking tone. I got angry, but I don't have the strength to deal with them. I feel like I might vomit if I open my mouth. But these men who can't care about my circumstances or my appearance mutter things like, "She's so unfriendly," and leave saying their goodbyes to my husband. It's difficult enough dealing with people who lack even a trace of observational skills. It's hard to see their expressions at night, and my colleagues who don't know my usual state of being can't be helped, but even my husband, who should know me well, says heartless words like, "At least greet them properly. You're ruining my reputation. Is that my meal? Hand it over," and snatches the bento from my hands. As I glare at him intensely and say, "You read the message, didn't you? Are you an idiot?" He purses his lips, leaves me behind, and goes back to the company-provided housing ahead of me. Later on, I was feeling down, as I prepare to face my husband, who can't show concern for his own wife. Dragging my feet, I head towards the company-provided housing. Arriving home, I reach my limit, and head straight to the bathroom, vomiting once again. At this point, I had a feeling that it wasn't just a simple illness. The pain is so intense that tears and nasal mucus flow. In the distance, I think I hear my husband yelling, "Hey! How long are you going to stay in the bathroom? Open the door! I can't use the bathroom. If you're sulking, do it in bed. Hey! Are you even listening?" But at that moment, I don't have the energy to deal with him. I don't even remember when I locked the bathroom door. I don't think I had the time for that, but I really didn't want to see my husband face. To ask for help, I would need to unlock the door, but I can't even stand up anymore, so I close my eyes, surrendering everything. The next time I managed to lift my eyelids was when I heard the sound of knocking on the bathroom door, and my mother-in-law's voice reached my ears. "Are you okay, dear? Hang in." Unlike my husband's yelling voice, my mother-in-law's voice shows her concern for me. Encouraged, I somehow managed to cling to the door and unlock to open it. "See, it's open." "You are just sulking," echoed my husband's careless words. But soon, a pleasant sound reached my ears. My mother-in-law had slapped my husband. She said, "Are you blind? You idiotic son! It was obvious she had collapsed. Call an ambulance quickly." She scolded him, but my husband, in a sulky manner, said, "You are just sleeping, right? Move her aside. I'll drag her out into the hallway." He said it heartlessly. But as he continued to groan, he rolled onto the floor. Seeing him clutching his groin, I realized he had been kicked by my mother-in-law. "You useless!" Having witnessed all of that, I let go of consciousness once again. When I woke up next, I was in a hospital bed, and my mother-in-law was peering into my face with her worried face. As soon as she noticed I had woken up, she broke into a smile and tightly grasped my hand, saying, "I'm so relieved. I was worried about you." According to what my mother-in-law told me, my husband, unable to use the bathroom due to me being inside, had gone to his parents' house. He probably intended to complain to my mother-in-law about me, because it would have been faster just to rent a restroom at a convenience store. But hearing my husband's story, my mother-in-law said, "You received a message about her feeling unwell, right? She wouldn't normally complain like that. We'll be going back right now. If necessary, I'll even break down the door to help her." She smacked my husband's rear and accompanied him all the way to our apartment. My face, as I was being taken away in an ambulance, apparently turned pale, even beyond a bluish color. In reality, I had developed acute gastroenteritis due to overwork, and the continuous vomiting had caused severe dehydration, nearly leading to death. If my mother-in-law hadn't come, I truly believe I would have died. I expressed my gratitude to her, but she replied, "It's all right, dear. More importantly, I'm truly sorry for my son. I never imagined he would become such a useless adult." She bit her lower lip, looking regretful. Perhaps she was feeling guilty of bringing up my husband as he is. But that's my husband's problem. It's not my mother-in-law's fault. It's because he didn't learn from his mother and instead relied on her. That's how my husband grew up. By the way, he's not even here right now. He apparently went to work, saying, "I'm busy." He probably ran away because he didn't hear us accuse him about me actually being sick. I realized he's someone who behaves that way through this incident. In the end, I decided to stay in the hospital for a while. My condition didn't improve quickly, and my hospital stay became prolonged. Since my mother-in-law has her own life to live, I can't keep relying on her forever. When I felt good enough, I got a permission to go out and returned home to get a change of clothes. My home was in a terrible state. Garbage had been piling up, and the room was filled with an unpleasant odor, with flies freely buzzing around. It's astonishing that anyone could live in such conditions. Now, since I haven't fully recovered, I don't have the motivation to clean up and leave it as it is before returning to the hospital. The thought of having to clean up when I'm discharged made me feel down. The next day, my husband came to the hospital room, and before I could even think, he said, "Hey, you went back home yesterday, right? The neighbor's wife said she saw you, so it's useless to try and cover it up. If you went back home, why didn't you clean? You're slacking off on your own work. Are you mocking me, using your illness? If you don't change your attitude, I have my own thoughts, too." He said such idiotic things, while throwing divorce papers at me. His words were so ridiculous that I was lost in words, and he seemed proud, saying, "You'd be in trouble if I divorced you, wouldn't you?" There's no reason for me to be in trouble. I work too, and if I no longer have to take care of a husband who can't do anything, life will become easier. Since he doesn't help me, even when I'm going through a difficult time, there's nothing good about being together. I feel sorry for my mother-in-law, but I don't feel anything towards my husband himself. Without hesitation, I accepted the divorce papers and told him, "I'll make sure to prepare it before your next visit, so for now, just go home. You're bothering me." I sent my husband away. He seemed to have expected me to cry and apologize, but with wide eyes, he said in confusion, "Hey, what's going on?" But I didn't care at all. I had brought my personal seal to the hospital room, so I stamped the divorce papers within that same day, and all I had to do was wait for my husband to come again. However, since it seemed like my husband only intended to threaten me, I worried if he would actually submit the papers properly. In fact, I feel it would be more certain if I submitted it myself after being discharged, rather than handing it over to him. But my worries turned out to be groundless. 3 days later, not only my husband but also my mother-in-law were in the hospital room, and my husband was being restrained by my mother-in-law, forced to bow his head to me. My mother-in-law said, "I'm truly sorry that my idiot son has caused nothing but trouble. I've had enough of it. I'm sorry this is such a small amount, but please use it as compensation for your new start." She handed me an envelope filled with money. Oh, I can't accept this. It's too heart-wrenching to let my husband off the hook after my mother-in-law saved my life. That's why we don't need a divorce, so there's no need to give me something like that. All I need is for you to show some remorse, and that's enough. I'm not seriously considering a divorce. He went out of his way to provoke me with such words. I have no intention of letting my mother-in-law pay money, nor do I have any intention of pretending the divorce conversation never happened. I work too, so I can manage my life without any problem. Please use this money for yourself. But can I ask you a favor instead? Could you submit this on my behalf? I just can't trust my husband. My mother-in-law nodded and said, I understand. I will take responsibility and submit it for you. My husband's expression changed dramatically, and he said, Wait a minute. Think it through. It's a divorce, a divorce. There are only downsides, right? Well, I admit I was a little in the wrong this time. I apologize. I'm really sorry. Please reconsider. He made an apology that clearly showed he really didn't mean. My mother-in-law got angry before me getting angry and said, What convenient things you saying? When your wife is suffering, you didn't even offer her help and push divorce papers onto her while she's hospitalized. A man who doesn't even realize how much of a despicable action he's taking has no right to maintain a marriage. Live alone by yourself. She shouted at him and slapped him back and forth with an envelope. Unable to bear it any longer, my husband fled from the hospital room, and my mother-in-law apologized to me again. I will take responsibility and submit this. But if you have any troubles, please don't hesitate to contact me. She gave me warm words. However, even after the divorce was finalized, my ex-husband, behind his mother's back, would call and say convenient things like, Let's live together again and build a family. It's annoying. He was just working. It was me who made our home function as a family. All the household chores were pushed onto me. I was working full-time too. That's why I collapsed and was even diagnosed with overwork. How could he demand a fresh start without understanding any of that? Of course, I immediately informed my ex-mother-in-law about this phone call. After that, the harassing calls stopped completely. I can't help but respect my ex-mother-in-law. Thank you for watching until the end.